There's a moment when you stop chasing peace and you finally become it. You've spent years reacting to people, to pain, to the world. Someone disrespects you and your whole day falls apart. Someone leaves and you forget your own worth. But what if I told you there's a mindset so powerful that once you understand it, no one can break you again? It's not about controlling the world. It's about mastering the only thing that ever mattered, your own mind. Because when you learn to silence the noise, when you learn to stop fighting what you can't control, the world can't touch you anymore. This is the secret mindset that makes you untouchable. And once you feel it, you'll never see yourself or the chaos around you the same way again. When you choose discipline over reaction, calm over anger, and awareness over fear, the world slowly begins to rearrange itself around you. At first, nothing seems different. Life still feels chaotic. People still hurt you. Challenges still come. But day after day, within that quiet consistency, something begins to move. You start to hear another voice, deeper, steadier, and filled with power, your own. Not the fragile ego that constantly seeks validation, but the deeper soul that knows no one can truly touch you unless you allow them to. Maybe you've wondered why some people remain calm in the middle of a storm, while your world collapses at a single criticism. Maybe you thought they were born stronger, more confident, luckier. But the truth isn't in luck or genetics, it's in inner strength. An invisible power built moment by moment, every time a person chooses not to react. Inner strength isn't loud. It doesn't shout. It doesn't show off. It's the quietest yet most unshakable energy, like the depth of the ocean, unmoved even as storms rage on the surface. The truly strong aren't those who never feel pain. They're the ones who can feel it fully without letting it control them. That is the highest art of self-mastery, the ability to stand inside the fire without letting it burn your soul. Becoming untouchable doesn't mean becoming cold or detached. It means being grounded enough to love without fear of loss, calm enough to listen without being swayed, and wise enough to act instead of react. Every insult, every failure, every storm becomes just a surface wave, and you remain the stillness beneath. In a world drowning in noise, strength no longer lies in shouting louder, but in mastering intentional silence. When others try to prove themselves, you simply are. When life tests you, you don't resist, you observe, learn, and evolve. That is true inner power, an energy so grounded, so peaceful, that people feel it even when they can't explain why. This path isn't easy. It demands that you face your own reactions, look deeply into your fears, and accept that sometimes silence is the strongest answer of all. But once you understand this truth, you'll realize nothing outside you can hurt you when what's inside is unshakable. And that's the moment you become untouchable. Most people believe that those who remain calm amidst chaos were simply born with nerves of steel, or that they've been through so much pain they've gone numb. But the truth is the complete opposite. No one is born untouchable. No one starts life with an unshakable soul. Every calm person you see today was once fragile, easily hurt by words, sleepless from fear of judgment, and quick to anger over the smallest things. They weren't times given times tranquility, they times trained times it. True strength isn't the absence of emotion. Strong people feel deeply, clearly, and consciously every movement within their inner world. They understand that emotions are signals, not commands. They don't see anger as a bomb to be diffused, but as a child to be understood. They don't see fear as an enemy, but as a gatekeeper for growth. Every time they face an emotion, they don't run, suppress, or deny, they listen. Inner strength is not armor to hide from the world. It's a second skin built from awareness. From every moment, you take responsibility for your own reactions. When someone insults you, you can choose silence, not because you're weak, but because you understand that reacting gives them control over your mood. By staying calm, you keep your power. People often confuse calmness with coldness. But being calm doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care times with intention. Asterisk. You still see, hear, and feel, but you're no longer swept away. You understand that another person's anger says more about them than it does about you. Their criticism reflects their wounds, not your worth. And when you truly grasp this, you free yourself from emotional imprisonment. It's not luck, genetics, or pain that makes someone untouchable. It's the conscious decision to reprogram how they see the world. They learn to pause for half a second before reacting. They learn to watch emotions like a slow-motion film. And in that pause, power returns to them. Most people live in time's reaction mode. Asterisk, a harsh word, a glance, a rejection, and they snap back like a spring. But those with inner strength live in time's reflection mode. Asterisk, every external trigger becomes a mirror, revealing something deeper inside. When someone hurts you, they're showing you where healing is still needed. When someone angers you, they're reflecting the part of you still craving validation. Only when you see this can you truly be free. This is where most people get it wrong. They think strength means control, suppressing, or eliminating emotions. But control doesn't mean suffocation. Real control is understanding. When you understand emotion, it loses power over you. When you see fear clearly, it dissolves. When you name anger, it fades in the light of awareness. True power isn't found in repression but in deep acceptance. Strong people don't try to avoid pain. They walk straight into it, look it in the eye, and ask, "What are you here to teach me?" In that moment, weakness becomes wisdom, pain becomes understanding, and wounds become fuel for transformation. Today's world glorifies loud displays of strength, raised voices, dominance, confidence. But real power is silent. It doesn't need proof. It doesn't need to win. It just times is. Asterisk. The truly strong aren't the ones who enter a room and make others tremble. They're the ones who enter and make others feel at peace. Once you understand that inner power is a time's choice asterisk, not a privilege, you unlock a new level of yourself. You realize that calmness isn't something others can teach you, it's something you build day by day. In the smallest moments, when you choose to listen instead of react, to be patient instead of judgmental, to stay silent instead of arguing, each choice lays another brick in the foundation of your power. No one can hurt you unless you allow it. No one can throw you off balance unless you hand them the keys to your emotions. And no one can make you feel small if you know your own worth. True strength doesn't come from proving you're right. It comes from staying at peace, even when you're misunderstood. So don't believe that strength is something you're born with. It's something you build through every choice, every failure, every wound healed with awareness. There's no miracle, only process. And through that process, every reaction turns into calm, every pain turns into wisdom, every scar becomes part of your evolution. Inner strength is the quiet structure you build within yourself every day. No one sees it, no one praises it. But one day, when the world tests you, when people betray you, when everything seems to fall apart, you'll realize you're still standing not because the world changed, but because you changed how you stand in it. And that's the moment you truly become untouchable. San, there's a truth that the strongest people in the world understand. Real strength isn't found in the ability to defeat others, but in the ability to master yourself. You can't control how people treat you, but you can control how you respond to them. You can't stop the storms of life, but you can become the one who no longer fears the rain. And that is the essence of inner power. Inner power isn't something you're born with. It's a skill, a discipline, the result of hundreds of moments where you choose to respond differently. Every time you want to react with anger, but choose calm instead, you're training strength. Every time you want to quit but take one more step, you're training strength. Every time you crave validation but choose silence and keep working, you're training strength. True inner power is not born in easy days. It's forged in the long nights, when you stand amid doubt, loneliness, and pain, but refuse to fall. External strength can be taken away. Money can be lost, reputation can crumble, status can disappear overnight. But inner strength, stillness, confidence, resilience cannot be taken from you unless you allow it. It doesn't depend on circumstances. It's built on awareness and self-control. That's why the untouchable remain standing, even when their world collapses. Inner power begins with one decision. I will not let the outer world control my inner world. It's a quiet but powerful commitment. When you stop letting others' emotions dictate your mood, when you stop letting rejection destroy your faith, when you stop letting fear define your limits, that's when you step into real strength. Here's the paradox. The stronger a person becomes, the more humble they are. They don't need to prove their worth through noise. They don't need to react to show they're right. They live in clarity. When you understand yourself, you no longer need to win every argument. When you know your worth, you no longer need anyone's validation. When you know where you're going, you don't need applause. Inner power isn't measured by how many victories you have, but by how you behave when you lose. When failure strikes, the weak blame, the strong learn. When hurt, the weak react, the strong reflect. When rejected, the weak retaliate, the strong grow quietly. It's your attitude in adversity that reveals your true power. Remember, emotions are not enemies, they are signals. Anger tells you a boundary has been crossed. Fear tells you something needs to be understood. Loneliness tells you it's time to reconnect with yourself. But if you don't learn to read those signals, they'll control you like a puppet. The strong don't suppress emotions, they navigate them. They don't let the waves pull them under, they learn to surf them. To understand inner power, you must understand one truth. Everything you seek outside begins inside. You want peace, but peace isn't found in the world's silence. It's found in the stillness of your mind. You want love, but no one can love you right if you don't love yourself. You want freedom, but no one can free you if you're still imprisoned by fear. The untouchable aren't those who never get hurt. They're those who refuse to let pain define them. They don't run from pain, they sit with it. They don't deny fear, they walk with it. They don't try to make life peaceful, they learn to stay peaceful in the chaos. And in that journey, they discover a different kind of energy, the energy of self-mastery. When you begin to build inner strength, the world will test you. It will send people who challenge your patience, situations that make you doubt yourself, failures that tempt you to quit. But don't see this as punishment. It's a test to see if you truly command yourself. Every time you stay calm through a storm, you rise to a higher level of being. Inner power cannot be taught, it can only be earned through experience. Someone who's never faced pain can't understand endurance. Someone who's never been betrayed can't understand true trust. Someone who's never known fear can't understand courage. It's through the hardest moments that your deepest power is forged. Ultimately, inner strength is your relationship with yourself. When you keep your promises, you build trust. When you rise after falling, you build courage. When you act without seeing results, you build faith. And through those small, consistent, unglamorous choices, you become untouchable. No one is born unshakable, but anyone can learn to be. Inner power is the legacy you give yourself. No one can grant it, and no one can take it away. It doesn't come from the outer world, but from a daily decision. I choose calm, I choose awareness, I choose not to be controlled. And when you make that choice long enough, you stop being just a calm person. You become a source of strength others can feel, but can never touch. So, before you learn to stand strong, you need to understand that feeling tired, hurt, or weak doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're human. Everyone has those days. Even the people you admire most. They aren't always strong, calm, or in control. They've had mornings where they didn't want to get out of bed, moments of panic when they didn't know what they were doing, nights where they cried because they felt not enough. But instead of letting those emotions define them, they learned to observe them, understand them, and let them pass. You are not weak for feeling fear. Fear is a sign that you're approaching something meaningful. You tremble not because you're incapable, but because you're crossing an old boundary. The body and mind react not to stop you, but to alert you. This is new territory. In truth, anxiety, fear, and pain are maps. If you're brave enough to look at them, they'll guide you to where you need to grow. You don't have to be someone who's always calm. You just need to be someone who's aware when you're not. The moment you can say, "I'm losing control," is the moment power begins to return to you. Awareness is always the first step toward freedom. We live in a world that glorifies surface-level strength, fake smiles, confident words, achievements displayed as proof of worth. But inside, most people are struggling. And you're not wrong for feeling that way. You're not weak for wanting to give up sometimes. You're just being honest. What matters isn't that you never fall, it's that you know how to rise. Don't punish yourself for being carried away by emotions. You're not broken, you're human. Losing your temper, reacting, or breaking down in tears doesn't mean you're failing. It means you still have a heart that feels. Inner strength isn't built through coldness, but through acceptance, the acceptance that you have emotions and can learn to navigate them instead of denying them. An untouchable person isn't emotionless. They still love, still hurt, still fear, but they don't let those emotions dictate their actions. They let emotions rise and fall like waves swelling, touching the shore and dissolving, because they understand that peace isn't the absence of waves. It's the ability to ride them. If you've ever been hurt by someone, it doesn't mean you're weak. It simply means a part of you is asking to be seen and healed. The person who hurt you didn't truly cause your pain. They just touched a wound that already existed within you. When you understand this, you stop blaming. You stop seeing the world as an enemy and start seeing it as a mirror reflecting what's still unhealed inside you. Sometimes, to be strong, you must allow yourself to be weak. Sometimes, to find peace, you must accept chaos. Avoiding emotions doesn't make them disappear, it only makes them grow in the dark. But when you face them, sit with them, and breathe through the pain, you release the trapped energy within. The more you accept yourself, the less power the world has to hurt you. Think back to your most painful moments. You thought you wouldn't survive, but you did. You thought the pain would destroy you, but it rebuilt you. You thought the loss would break you, but it made you deeper, kinder, wiser. Every wound, no matter how ugly, carries a fragment of wisdom, the wisdom of who you truly are. Empathy doesn't begin with understanding others, it begins with understanding yourself. When you remember that you too have been afraid, weak, and lost, judgment fades. You begin to see yourself in others' pain, and your heart softens. That's when your strength becomes real. Because only when the heart is open can the mind be unshakable. You don't need to pretend to be okay, you just need to be honest. Every time you say, "I'm tired, but I'll try a little more," you build strength. Every time you admit, "I'm scared, but I won't run," you expand your comfort zone. Strength doesn't come from denying darkness, it comes from bringing awareness into it. This world doesn't need more people pretending to be perfect. It needs people who are real, vulnerable, and alive. Because only truth creates lasting power. When you fully accept yourself, both light and shadow, no one can manipulate you. No one can use your flaws against you, once you've learned to love even those flaws. So allow yourself to breathe. Allow yourself to make mistakes. Allow yourself to feel everything you're feeling. And within that acceptance, you'll find a peace no one can touch. Because peace isn't the absence of emotion, it's the full presence of awareness within emotion. And when you reach that state, you're no longer just healing, you've already begun to become untouchable. Woo! Inner strength is not a towering wall of steel, it is a deep ocean. On the surface, waves may crash and storms may rise, but the deeper you go, the calmer, quieter, and more unmoving everything becomes. People fear the storm because they live only on the surface. Only those who dare to dive within themselves can reach the still waters below, the place where peace no longer depends on life's weather. You cannot control the wind, nor command the waves, but you can learn to dive deep. And each time you choose to go inward, instead of reacting outward, you descend another layer into the ocean of your being. There is no noise, no criticism, no pressure, only breath, awareness, and silent strength, a power invisible to the eyes but felt by all. Imagine the mind as a glass of clear water. When someone throws in a pebble, an insult, a failure, a fear, the water instantly becomes cloudy. But if you don't stir it, if you simply let it be, the sediment settles and the water becomes clear again. Not because the pebble disappeared, but because you stopped stirring. In the same way, when life throws you pain, you don't have to react. Just stay still. Let time and awareness do their work. Peace isn't found by removing the pebbles, it's found in learning how to let the water rest. People often mistake silence for weakness, but true silence is the highest form of strength. Silence isn't the absence of words, it's the mastery of when and what is worth saying. Like a mountain, it doesn't need to shout to prove its stability, its very presence commands stillness. An untouchable person is the same, they don't need to raise their voice to be heard, because their calm already echoes louder than noise. Inner strength is also like a flame hidden deep within a cave. Out in the open, strong winds can extinguish any candle. But the flame that's protected within awareness and discipline burns endlessly. No one can blow it out. Those with inner power don't need to shine constantly. They just need to make sure their fire never dies. Each of us has a cave like that, a quiet inner space where we can return to ourselves, where no masks are needed, no pretending, and where the world's noise stops at the door. The problem is, most people never return there. They live in the wind where others' opinions constantly blow, where every small change pulls their mind apart. But when you learn to return to your cave, to your still essence, you realize that nothing outside can take away the peace inside. Inner strength is also like the roots of an ancient tree. People admire the branches and the shade, but they forget that what holds the tree upright is hidden beneath the ground. Roots don't need light or praise, they simply dig deep, day after day. Humans are the same. Every lasting success grows from roots of self-discipline, endurance, and reflection. When your roots are deep enough, storms become nothing more than nature's test. Another metaphor I love. The swordsmith in the dark. He doesn't need light nor an audience, only raw steel, a hammer, and fire. Every strike is a collision, every heating a trial. The steel bends, cracks, and is reforged, layer by layer, until it becomes an unbreakable blade. Life forges you the same way. Every pain, every failure, every betrayal, they are all strikes of the hammer. They don't come to destroy you, but to shape you. Endure the fire long enough, and you become steel. The untouchable weren't born as steel, they simply accepted the fire instead of fleeing it. They understood that pain is part of the training. So when others ask, "How can you stay calm in the storm?" they smile because they know they weren't born in peace. They were forged from pain. Inner power is also like light in the darkness. You cannot see light until you've known dark. Darkness isn't the enemy, it's the backdrop that allows light to shine brighter. The more challenges a person faces without collapsing, the stronger their light becomes. They no longer fear the night because they've realized they times are times the light. Remember, no one becomes untouchable by running from the world. You can't learn strength in comfort. You must let yourself be tested to collide without crumbling. Just as diamonds are created under pressure, humans become untouchable by learning to stand still in the storm. One day, you'll look back and realize every pain was part of your training. Every person who hurt you was a teacher. Every fall was a lesson in rising. In those very moments, the fragments of your inner strength were formed. No shock was meaningless. No wound wasted if you learned from it. Inner strength isn't about not feeling the storm, it's about knowing you. Times are times the sky. Clouds may gather, thunder may roar, but the sky never disappears. It simply remains vast, steady, unreactive, and unjudging. When you realize you are not the storm, but the sky that holds it, that's when you touch the deepest layer of your inner power. And from that place, everything changes. Life is no longer something you must control, it becomes something you observe. The world no longer threatens you, it becomes your training ground for awareness. You no longer need to prove anything, because your calm presence itself becomes proof of your strength. Luke, there comes a moment in every person's journey when they realize, I'm not who I used to be anymore. It's not the day they gain recognition or achieve something remarkable. It's the moment they stop reacting the way they once did. When someone insults them, they no longer need to defend themselves. When someone leaves, they no longer feel broken. When life turns chaotic, they no longer panic. They simply breathe, stand still, and smile. That's when the old self dies and a new one is born, the self of mastery. Most people live their entire lives trapped in the reactive self. They let others decide their emotions. A compliment makes them happy. A criticism ruins their day. A cold glance can destroy their confidence. They don't truly live. They just constantly react to the world. Every emotion, every thought, every action is a reflection of something external, and in doing so, they hand their power away. But the moment you realize that everything others say or do is a reflection of times them asterisk, not you, something miraculous happens. You stop trying to control others. You start mastering your presence. And that's when you become untouchable. The shift of the ego is a return inward to a place where your worth is no longer defined by others' reactions. You stop asking, what do they think of me? And start asking, what do I think of myself? You stop chasing validation and begin giving yourself respect. You don't need applause to feel valuable, because your worth no longer comes from the stage, it comes from the depth of your integrity. The untouchable are not those who need no one, but those who aren't dependent on anyone to exist. They can love without attachment, give without expecting, and help without seeking recognition. They love not because they need to be loved back, but because love is their nature. When you reach that state, you're no longer time seeking times peace. You times are times peace. The shift of the ego doesn't happen all at once. It unfolds quietly, day by day, through small choices. Every time you choose to pause before reacting, you shift. Every time you choose to listen instead of judge, you shift. Every time you act from awareness instead of emotion, you step further away from the old self, the one pulled by praise, shaken by failure, and ruled by fear. You don't have to destroy the ego, you just have to change your relationship with it. The ego isn't evil, it's just a frightened child wanting to be seen, loved, and safe. Once you understand that, you stop fighting it and start teaching it. You tell it, it's okay, I'm here, we're safe now. From that moment, you stop living as a hostage to your ego and become its guide. Remember, you can't step into a new self while clinging to the old one. Every transformation requires loss of habits, of beliefs, of relationships that no longer align. You might feel lonely because your old identity was built on pleasing others. When you start being authentic, some people won't understand, but don't be afraid. The loneliness of awakening is temporary. Soon, you'll meet those who match your soul, not your fear. Ego shift isn't about becoming perfect, it's about becoming real. You don't need to prove you're healed or enlightened. You just need to be honest. When you're angry, notice it. When you're sad, acknowledge it. When you're afraid, admit it without letting it lead you. That awareness is the bridge between who you were the reactor and who you're becoming the observer. Think of the ego as a coat. It once kept you warm through the winters of pain, but now it's too small. It still protects, but it also limits. When you dare to take it off, you don't lose protection. You regain freedom. The ego isn't the enemy. It just belongs in the passenger seat, not the driver's. The untouchable don't live to protect their image. They live to preserve their essence. They don't seek to stand out. They simply seek to be true. They don't need anyone to confirm their path, because they can already hear the voice within whispering, keep going, you're coming home. And the paradox is, when you stop trying to prove yourself, you begin to shine naturally. Not the loud light that demands attention, but the quiet radiance that makes others feel calm just by being near you. That's the sign of a shifted soul. They never have to say, "I've changed." People just feel it. In the end, remember, the ego exists only in the past and future. Inner strength lives in the present. Every time you are fully here without judgment, fear, or comparison, you step out of the shadow of ego and return to your purest essence, consciousness. When you live from awareness instead of ego, no one can touch you. You don't need to become someone new. You just need to return to yourself, the version unshaken by fear, unattached to validation, and undefined by failure. When you understand this, you'll realize that untouchable is not a state to reach, but the true nature of your soul, the part that was never broken, just forgotten for a while. See, every profound transformation begins with the smallest actions. No one wakes up one day suddenly calm, grounded, and unshakable. No one listens to a single motivational talk and instantly becomes immune to pain. Inner strength doesn't come from moments of inspiration. It comes from the choices you repeat quietly every single day. The smallest, simplest actions, the ones no one notices, are the foundation of an untouchable mind. Start with a moment of silence each morning. When you first open your eyes, resist the urge to grab your phone. Don't let the world rush in. Just sit for 1 minute. Breathe deeply. Feel the air moving in and out. In that 1 minute, ask yourself, do I want to react today, or do I want to lead? It's a small question, but it can change the entire tone of your day. Because the moment you're aware of your state, you've already taken back control. If it feels hard to begin, remember, power doesn't lie in duration, but in consistency. 1 minute of silence every day is worth more than 1 hour of random meditation each month. Like building muscle, inner resilience requires regular training. Each conscious breath is a reminder that you always have a choice to react or to respond, to pause or to be pulled. You're not at the mercy of circumstance. You are the one who decides when to move. Another micro-action is to observe emotions in your body. When you feel anxious, angry, or sad, don't suppress it. Just notice where it lives. Maybe it's a heaviness in your chest, a tightness in your throat, a knot in your stomach. Breathe into that space. Whisper to it, "I see you. I'm not running away." That alone is strength, because instead of letting the emotion control you, you've stepped into the position of the observer. You become the master, not the victim. Third practice, write down what you're grateful for. 3 lines a day. It can be as simple as, "Thank you that I'm still breathing. Thank you for my morning coffee." Or, "Thank you that I'm learning patience." Gratitude journaling isn't about forced positivity. It's mental training. It teaches your mind to see what's right instead of what's wrong. Over time, your brain rewires itself from reactive to receptive, from defensive to aware. And slowly, the things that once disturbed your peace lose their grip. Another powerful habit. Pause for 3 seconds before every reaction. Before replying to a message, before responding to a comment, before defending yourself, stop for 3 seconds. Those 3 seconds are the gap between instinct and awareness, between ego and wisdom. In that small space, you reclaim control. You're saying to yourself, "I choose not to be ruled." Practice this for a few weeks, and calmness will start to feel natural. Next, practice inner honesty. Each night, before sleep, ask yourself, did I overreact today? Could I have done it differently? Don't judge, just observe. Honest reflection strengthens the bridge between awareness and action. Every time you see a moment you could improve, you expand your mastery. Another essential micro-action. Choose a personal affirmation. Not something generic, but a truth that fits your journey. For example, "I don't need to react to prove my strength," or "My peace cannot be taken from me." Repeat it several times a day, especially when you feel triggered. Affirmations aren't magic, they're anchors for your consciousness in the storm. If you can, pair micro-actions with movement. When your mind feels restless, go for a slow walk. Let each step follow your breath. Inhale, I'm here. Exhale, I am calm. The body and mind are one system. When you regulate the breath, you calm emotion. When you calm emotion, you strengthen your inner power. The key is not to do everything at once. Choose just one small action and stay consistent. If you pick 1 minute of morning silence, do only that. Do it daily. Not perfectly, just presently. After a month, you'll notice something subtle. You no longer try to stay calm. Calmness becomes your natural state. People with inner strength aren't different in ability, they're different in repetition. They do small things every day until those small things become who they are. A minute of silence becomes composure. 3 seconds of pause becomes instinct. 1 deep breath becomes a reminder that you're in control. And when all of these merge, you no longer have to learn to be strong. You times strength itself. Remember, no action is too small. Every breath, every pause, every moment you choose not to react is a brick on the path to inner freedom. Don't chase leaps, seek steady steps. 1 step a day. And one day you'll look back and realize you've walked far beyond fear, beyond reaction, and into calm, effortlessly, naturally, powerfully. That's the secret of the untouchable. They don't do extraordinary things. They do ordinary things with extraordinary consistency. No journey of growth ever flows perfectly. Every time you decide to change even something small, a habit, a thought, a response, you will meet a powerful, invisible force called times resistance asterisk. It's not your enemy. It's simply your mind's natural reaction to the unknown. Every time you step outside your comfort zone, resistance whispers, "Not today. You're too tired. Wait until it feels right." It sounds gentle, reasonable, even logical. And if you don't understand what it is, it will lead you right back to the familiar, comfortable but confined, safe but small. Resistance is not laziness. It's fear disguised as reason. The mind fears change because it interprets everything unfamiliar as a threat. It wants to protect you from failure, from shame, from pain. But in trying to protect you, it also keeps you trapped in the cage of the past. Every time you're about to act differently, it raises mental walls. You're not ready. You need more time. You should wait until it's perfect. And while you're busy thinking, you're not moving. The first step to overcoming resistance is recognizing it. Whenever you feel that urge to delay, to escape, to postpone, pause, and name it, this is resistance. Naming it weakens it. Resistance thrives in darkness, in unconsciousness. The moment awareness shines on it, it begins to dissolve. The next step is not to fight resistance, but to talk times to it. Ask, what are you trying to protect me from? It may fear failure, rejection, or loss of control. Thank it because it's only trying to keep you safe. Then gently say, I understand, but we're going anyway. Gratitude turns resistance from an enemy into an ally. One of the most powerful ways to break through resistance is to act immediately before your mind starts negotiating. The longer you think, the stronger it grows. Remember the times 5-second rule asterisk. When the impulse to act appears, I should write, I should call, I should exercise, count from 1 to 5, and move. Those 5 seconds are the doorway between intuition and excuse, between courage and hesitation. If you don't walk through, resistance will slam it shut. Resistance often hides behind productive tasks too. You want to write, but instead you research how to write better. You want to exercise, but you spend hours building the perfect playlist. You want to meditate, but you scroll through best meditation techniques. That's not preparation, that's disguised procrastination. You look busy, but you haven't begun. The only cure is action, messy, imperfect, immediate action. Another strategy, lower the barrier. Don't say, I'll meditate for 30 minutes. Say, I'll sit still for 2. Don't say, I'll write 2,000 words. Say, I'll write 50. Once you start, momentum carries you forward. Resistance weakens with movement because the energy of action is stronger than the energy of hesitation. Resistance doesn't only appear. When you start, it screams loudest right before the breakthrough. When you're 90% through, it panics because it knows you're about to outgrow its grip. Many people quit here, thinking they've lost motivation when they're just hearing fear's final scream. Remember, silence comes after the loudest noise. Push a little further, and you'll break through. To reduce resistance even more, connect your actions to your time's identity, asterisk, not just your goals. If you see something as a task, you'll resist it. But if you see it as an expression of who you are, you'll persist. Don't say, I have to write. Say, I'm a writer. Writers write. Don't say, I have to meditate. Say, I'm a conscious person, I choose awareness. When action aligns with identity, resistance loses its power. Because you're no longer times trying, times to act. You're simply times being asterisk. Also, remember, resistance feeds on emotional intensity. The more pressure, perfectionism, or fear of failure you feel, the stronger it grows. Calmness is its antidote. When you feel overwhelmed, don't push harder, breathe slower. When your mind feels tangled, pause and look at the sky. Resistance cannot survive in relaxation. Calm is power. And finally, forgive yourself when resistance wins. You'll have days when it beats you. You'll listen to the whisper, maybe tomorrow. That's okay. Every time you notice it, you grow wiser. Every time you return, you grow stronger. Strength isn't about never falling. It's about standing up faster each time you do. Resistance isn't your enemy. It's your test, a mirror asking, do you truly want what you say you want? So when you feel it rise, don't think, I'm failing. Think, I'm being tested. And when you act times despite times fear, you're telling resistance, thank you for showing up, but I'm the one driving today. One day, you'll realize resistance never disappeared, it just lost its power. It still visits, but you'll smile, you'll nod, and you'll do the work anyway. That's when nothing outside you can stop you. Not because life got easier, but because you became stronger than your own hesitation. Joe, inner strength isn't built from inspiration, it's built from systems. Inspiration is the spark, but systems are the lamp that keeps the flame alive. Ordinary people wait for motivation to act. Strong people act to create motivation. They understand that if they rely on feelings, they'll never be stable because emotions change like the weather. Systems turn discipline into habit, and habits build consistency. Start by designing a Times mental reset system. Times a daily ritual to refresh your mind. Just as your body needs sleep to recover, your mind needs a routine to reset. It doesn't have to be complicated, just consistent. It could be as simple as a 3-step process you repeat every day. Asterisk, asterisk, breathe. Observe. Name. Asterisk, asterisk. Step 1. Asterisk. Breathe. Asterisk. When you're stressed, disappointed, or angry, your body reacts before your mind does. Your heartbeat quickens, your breathing shortens, your shoulders tense. That's a sign you've lost connection with your center. Inhale deeply through your nose, hold for 3 seconds, then exhale slowly through your mouth. One conscious breath can slow your heart rate, bring you back to the present, and reconnect you with your inner wisdom. Step 2. Asterisk. Observe asterisk. Don't try to escape emotion, simply observe it, as if you're watching a cloud drift by. Anger isn't you. Sadness isn't you. Fear isn't you. They're just waves moving across the surface of your mind. The moment you can see them, instead of being swept away by them, you reclaim your power. Step 3. Asterisk. Name it asterisk. Labeling an emotion reduces its intensity. When you say, I'm feeling anxious, you create distance between you and the emotion. You're no longer the anxiety. You're the awareness observing it. Awareness is always the first step toward freedom. Repeat these 3 steps daily, and you'll train your mind to respond with intention instead of instinct. Over time, you'll notice you're calmer, not because life got easier, but because you built a system that keeps you grounded from within. Extend this system beyond emotions, build systems for energy, work, and focus. For example, don't wait for motivation to exercise. Make it a ritual, same time each morning. Same routine, same space. Once your body adapts to rhythm, it moves even when your mind resists. In your work, create a times deep focus system. Asterisk. Choose a block of time when you silence all distractions. No phone, no email, no notifications. Pour your full attention into what matters most. Then pause for 5 minutes. Breathe and resume. When this becomes habit, you not only achieve more, but you also train your mind to stay still under pressure. Systems are also protection for your mental energy. Build and times energy filter. Asterisk. Don't check social media right after waking up. Don't fill your mind with negativity before sleep. Instead, create boundaries. A cup of tea, soft music, a few minutes of journaling. These small rituals form a quiet shield that protects your peace. Remember, systems matter more than moods. When you're sad, your system keeps you steady. When you lack motivation, your system keeps you moving. When you're exhausted, your system guides you back to center. Those without systems drift with their emotions. Those with systems move forward, rain or shine. That's why they go further. Another key principle: measure progress by times. Consistency, asterisk, not perfection. You don't need to do it perfectly every day. You just need to show up. Meditate for 10 minutes today, 3 tomorrow. It doesn't matter, as long as you don't quit. Every small act of continuation reinforces a powerful belief: I am consistent. Once that belief becomes identity, your system starts to run on its own. If you've ever wondered why some people never seem to lose balance, it's because they have a times recovery system. Asterisk. They don't avoid challenges. They simply know how to return to center faster than others. When they fail, they know how long to stay quiet and what to do to regain rhythm. When they're hurt, they know how to recharge instead of blame. When they're tired, they don't give up, they reset. A powerful system is always anchored by time's personal rituals, time's small, sacred acts that hold deep meaning for you. Maybe it's brewing coffee in silence, walking under the moon, or writing 3 lines of gratitude before bed. These rituals not only stabilize your life but also send a message to your soul. I am taking care of my energy. The untouchable don't rely on emotion to shape their day. They rely on systems. They don't wait for good moods to do great work. They don't wait for peace to act peacefully. They build an inner structure strong enough to hold their spirit steady. Don't wait for life to calm down before you do. Build systems that keep you calm times within times the storm. A person with a solid system doesn't need to avoid chaos. They simply know where to stand. And when you can stand firm while the world falls apart, you'll realize you're no longer a victim of circumstance. You've become the architect of your inner world, the designer of your own peace. Sure, inner strength doesn't come only from what you do, it also comes from where you live, what you hear, who you surround yourself with, and the energy you allow around you. Environment isn't just physical space, it's the entire ecosystem that shapes your mind, emotions, and energy every day. You can't live in peace if every morning you wake up to noise, negativity, or people who drain your spirit. A steady mind cannot thrive in chaos. So if you truly want to become time's untouchable asterisk, start by redesigning your environment. Environment doesn't create you, it amplifies you. If you're surrounded by pessimists, you'll slowly speak the language of defeat. If you're surrounded by the disciplined, you'll learn the rhythm of consistency. If you spend time in quiet spaces, your mind will mirror that stillness. Humans are adaptive creatures. We become reflections of our surroundings. So, if you want to be unshakable, live in an environment that nurtures that strength. Begin with your personal space. Look around your room, everything emits a signal. The cluttered pile, the dim light, the constant background noise, they all send a subtle message to your brain. You're living in disorder. Take time to let your space breathe. Remove what you don't need. Keep only what gives you peace. A clean, clear space isn't just a place to live, it's a physical symbol of inner clarity. Next, consider sound and light. Every sound touches the brain differently. Noise, negative news, or loud. Intense music keeps the body in a state of alertness. Even if you're unaware, replace them with gentle sounds, nature, slow instrumentals, calm frequencies. Let natural light in, especially in the morning. Sunlight regulates your biological rhythm and improves focus. Let sound and light become tools that calm your mind, not agitate it. Another vital part of your environment is people. Some people bring peace simply by being there, while others quietly drain you every time you meet. Pay attention. Energy doesn't lie. After a conversation, if you feel lighter, you've met the right person. If you feel exhausted, you've met a lesson. Surround yourself with people who don't make you guard yourself. Peaceful people don't talk loudly, their presence itself slows your heartbeat. That's the energy that strengthens your inner power. But designing your environment isn't just about avoiding the negative, it's about times creating the positive. Asterisk. Build a times recovery space. Times a small corner you can return to and recharge after the day. It could be a cozy chair, a window seat where you can read, write, or simply breathe. Let that place become your portal back to center. Beyond physical space, consider your time's digital environment. Asterisk. Today, much of your mental energy is spent through screens. Every time you scroll social media, you're letting hundreds of thoughts, emotions, and energies from others flood your mind. Without filters, you lose focus and peace. Clean your digital space like you would your home. Unfollow accounts that spread negativity. Keep only what inspires or educates. Set times digital silence hours. Times at least 1 hour a day with no phone. In that hour, be fully present with yourself. Another essential element of environment is nature. Humans were made to live in connection with the natural world, but modern life makes us forget. Step outside, even for 10 minutes. Let sunlight touch your skin, feel the wind through your hair. Hear the real sounds of life. Nature restores your energy frequency to its natural state, calm, steady, unhurried. When you live too long surrounded by concrete and data, you lose touch with life's natural rhythm. A good environment doesn't just make you times comfortable, it helps you times remember who you are. Asterisk. Every object, every space, every sound whispers, come back home. When your environment is designed with intention, you don't have to force calmness finds you. But there's one more kind of environment few talk about, the inner times one. It's the space inside your mind, the thoughts you allow to live there. Notice how you talk to yourself. If every mistake triggers, "I'm so stupid," you're living in a hostile internal world. Change that language. Say, "I'm learning, I'll do better next time." Your inner voice is the sound you'll hear more than any other in your lifetime. Make it kind. When your outer and inner environments align, you stop needing to escape life. You start living in it. Everything around you begins to support you. Your environment becomes a silent ally, keeping you steady, balanced, and clear. The untouchable times don't live in perfect environments. They create environments that help them stay strong, even when life isn't perfect. They know peace doesn't grow in chaos, so they plant order, calm, and intention into their surroundings. And by doing so, they turn the world around them into a reflection of their inner one, serene, bright, and unshakable. There's a turning point, that every grounded person must pass through the moment they realize that no one else is responsible for their emotions but themselves. Not your parents, not your partner, not your boss, not society, only you. This is the greatest transformation on the path to becoming time's untouchable asterisk. Because as long as you believe someone hurt you, you're still giving them your power. But the moment you understand that emotions are the result of your time's interpretation, times of events, not the events themselves, you return to the driver's seat of your life. Remember, no one can make you angry unless you allow it. No one can make you feel small unless you believe it's true. Every emotion you experience is your inner world's reaction to perception. Two people can face the same situation and feel completely different emotions because they read it differently. Once you see this mechanism, you stop trying to change the world and start changing the way you see it. Blame is the ego's reflex. When hurt, the mind instantly looks for someone to hold accountable. He made me angry. She betrayed me. They were unfair. But blame only gives you momentary relief from helplessness. It steals your power. Every time you say, "It's their fault," you're also saying, "I have no control." And that's how you become a victim. The times, untouchable times, never live as victims, they live as creators. Taking responsibility doesn't mean you excuse other people's wrongs. It means you refuse to let their actions control your mind. You may not be able to change them, but you can choose how you react, how you protect your energy, and how you move forward. The moment you take responsibility for your emotions, you reclaim your self-mastery. Think about the last time someone made you angry. They may have said something cruel. The event itself was neutral, but the anger came from the times, meaning times you attached to it. Maybe you thought, "They don't respect me." But if you instead believed, "They're projecting their own fear, it's not about me," the emotion would shift entirely. Change the interpretation, and the reaction, the energy changes with it. That power belongs to you, not them. True responsibility is freedom. At first, it feels like a burden because it means owning even what you didn't intend. But the deeper you go, the more you see that it's the only path out of suffering. When you say, "I am responsible for how I feel," you no longer need someone's apology to be at peace. You no longer need to control anyone to be happy. Peace becomes a time's choice asterisk, not a reward. Strong people don't ask, "Who's right or wrong?" They ask, "What can I learn from this?" They don't ask, "Why me?" They ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" Every experience carries a message, but only those who take responsibility can hear it. Those who blame only hear noise. Responsibility also means letting go of the demand to be understood. A part of maturity is accepting that not everyone will understand your journey, and that's okay. You don't need to be understood. You just need to be honest times with yourself. When you live in truth, you don't need agreement. When you know who you are, you don't need to prove it. One of the highest forms of responsibility is taking responsibility for the energy you bring into the world. Every time you enter a room, you bring your atmosphere calm or chaos, love or judgment. When you realize your presence shapes the space around you, you start living more consciously. The times, untouchable times, don't let the world dictate their energy, they master the climate they carry. Responsibility isn't self-blame, it's seeing truth without punishment. If you're angry, acknowledge it. If you're hurt, admit it. No excuses, no self-attack, just honesty. The moment you see yourself without judgment, healing begins. Another part of responsibility is releasing the hope that someone will save you. No one is coming. There's no savior, no miracle, no one powerful enough to free you from pain if you won't stand up for yourself. Others can help, but only you can transform your life. Because no one else knows exactly what you need, what you fear, or what you're ready for. Responsibility is the realization, asterisk. No one can live my life for me, asterisk. When you truly step into that awareness, a deep stillness arises. There's no resentment, no need to win, no need to prove. You begin to see the world through understanding, realizing that everyone is expressing their level of consciousness. The angry person isn't attacking you. They're releasing pain onto whoever's closest. The judgmental person doesn't hate you. They're speaking aloud the fears they carry within. When you see this, you stop reacting. You forgive not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. And in the quiet of awareness, you'll see that taking responsibility isn't about carrying more, it's about letting go. Letting go of control, of expectation, of needing to be understood. Because now you see that life doesn't happen times you, it happens times for times you. Everything is a mirror showing you yourself more clearly. And when you understand that, nothing can break you anymore. Responsibility is the line between being swept away by life and standing at its center. When you choose responsibility, you shift from reactor to creator, from powerless to powerful, from wounded to time's untouchable asterisk. And that is the moment you truly begin to live free. Failure is one of the words people fear the most. It conjures images of loss, shame, judgment, and falling behind. But if you look deeper, you'll see that every strong person was born from failure. No one becomes steady without first stumbling. No one becomes calm without once being lost. Every crack along the path is where the light enters, and every fall is a chapter of growth. Failure is not proof that you're not good enough. It's proof that you're alive enough to try. Only those who are brave enough dare to risk, to fail, to begin again. The one who never falls isn't wise, they're simply untested. But the one who's fallen and risen again carries a kind of wisdom no book can teach, the wisdom of knowing themselves. The world teaches us to fear failure, while life uses failure as a training tool. Every time you fail, you're being tested not to see if you're good enough, but to see if you're consistent enough, teachable enough, and willing enough to grow. Every failure carries a message. When you see the lesson, failure becomes fuel. When you see only the shame, failure becomes a chain. Failure is dangerous only when you believe it defines you. But failure doesn't define you, it reveals you. It shows how persistent you are, how honest you can be with yourself, and what you still choose to believe in when no one else does. The times, untouchable times, don't avoid failure, they transform it. They use pain to sharpen awareness, wounds to deepen compassion, and setbacks to learn how to rise faster. Look back at the times you failed a job that didn't work out, a broken relationship, a dream that collapsed. At the time, you thought you'd lost everything, but years later, when you look back, you realize that without that fall, you'd never have become who you are today. Failure didn't destroy you, it stripped away your weakest parts so your strongest could emerge. Failure is the most honest teacher. Success can make you complacent, but failure cannot. It forces you to reflect, question, and evolve. It makes you face yourself, no illusions, no pretending. While most people run from failure, those with inner power walk straight into it, knowing that every failure is a mirror of truth. What breaks the weak isn't failure itself, it's the story they tell themselves afterward. When they say, "I'm not good enough," or "I can't," they turn failure into identity. But the strong tell a different story. "I just learned something. Next time, I'll do it differently." They don't tie their worth to the result. They see failure as information, not destiny. And that's why they keep moving forward, maybe slowly, but always surely. Failure is the gym of the soul. Each time you recover from a fall, you gain another layer of resilience. Just as muscles grow through tearing, the soul grows through testing. Failure strips away false protection, arrogance, illusion of control, and forces you to meet your truest self. In the moments you feel shattered, you actually touch the deepest, most authentic part of who you are. Redefine failure. It isn't loss, it's feedback. Every unwanted outcome simply says, "This way doesn't work yet." When you see it as data, you stay objective and keep going. But when you see it as proof of inadequacy, you stop. The difference between those who succeed and those who quit isn't talent, it's interpretation. There's an invisible law. Life never gives you failure to make you smaller, but to prepare you for something greater. When one door closes, it's not because you're unworthy, it's because you're being readied for the next. When you choose to learn instead of blame, you evolve. Life doesn't demand perfection, only continuous learning. The times, untouchable times, never ask, "Why is this happening to me?" They ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" With every failure, they don't retreat, they refine. With every fall, they don't blame, they observe. With every wound, they don't close, they expand their empathy. Their response to failure is what makes them undefeatable. If you're in the middle of failure right now, take a deep breath and remind yourself, "I haven't lost, I'm learning." Ask what this pain is trying to teach you: patience, humility, courage. Don't rush to escape it. Feel it, watch it, let it forge you. Like fire refining gold, failure is simply testing what your inner metal is made of. One day, when you've walked through it, you'll see that every crack that once hurt became a line of light carved into your soul. Every failure was a fragment of wisdom. Every fall was proof that you dared to try. And when you learn to see failure as fuel instead of a finish line, you'll never stop moving forward again. Failure isn't the end of the road, it's the final exam before you meet a stronger version of yourself. Once you understand that, you stop fearing the fall. You only fear not rising again. And the one who rises even just one more time is the one no one can ever touch. Shusean, one of the greatest freedoms in life, comes when you stop obsessing over results and start falling in love with the process. Most fear, frustration, and exhaustion don't come from doing too little. They come from constantly comparing where you are to where you think you should be. You live as if every day is an exam, tense, rushed, and afraid you're not there yet. But the truly strong understand the opposite. Real strength isn't in where you arrive, but in how you walk. When you learn to love the process, you shift from "I need to achieve" to "I want to experience." Life stops being a race and becomes a journey of discovery. Every step, every mistake, every pause has value. Nothing is wasted as long as you're fully present. Growth doesn't happen in the moment of victory. It happens in the thousands of quiet moments when you choose consistency over quitting, calm over panic. When you focus only on results, you place your happiness in the future. You tell yourself, "When I achieve that, I'll be happy." But true happiness never comes from the destination. It comes from your connection to the present moment. If you can't find joy in the journey, you won't be able to hold it at the destination, because results are fleeting, but the journey is lifelong. The times, untouchable times, are never in a hurry. They're not dragged by the world's pace. They understand that the process times is times the reward. They know that every small action today, even unseen, is quietly shaping who they're becoming. Each time they choose rightly, even when no one notices, they build a deeper self-trust. And when they fail, they don't feel shame, they feel gratitude, because the process is teaching them what success never could. To love the process is to accept the natural rhythm of growth. A seed doesn't bloom the next day. It must be planted, buried, rained on, and warmed by the Sunday. Likewise, you can't become disciplined after a few days of practice or find peace after a few meditations. Everything great takes time, and time isn't the enemy. It's part of the miracle. When you stop comparing your pace to others, you begin to feel light again. Your path isn't theirs. Every soul has its own lesson, its own rhythm. Some transform in a year, others need 10. Both are right, as long as they keep walking. Don't let someone else's speed make you doubt your own steady pace. One firm step is worth more than 10 frantic ones. Loving the process also means embracing repetition, because it's in repetition that discipline is built. Day after day, you wake early, write a few lines, breathe deeply, watch your mind. No spotlight, no applause, just the quiet work of self-building. And one day, when life tests you, you'll notice you no longer react the same way. That's the real reward of repetition, not fame, but unshakable stability. When you see life as a learning journey, failure stops being frightening. Every mistake becomes feedback. Every heartbreak becomes a lesson in courage. When you love the process, you no longer fear going slow, you only care about going true. And if your direction is growth, everything else will come when it's time. The times, untouchable times, don't love perfection, they love progress. They don't need today to be flawless, only better than yesterday. Each 1% of improvement, each moment of persistence, is a seed of confidence. They know greatness doesn't come from giant leaps, but from thousands of small, faithful steps. Loving the process also means learning to stay through boredom. Growth isn't always exciting. There will be days when you're tired, unmotivated, unsure. But those are the real tests. Anyone can act when inspired, only the disciplined act when uninspired. The difference between those who change and those who quit lies in their ability to continue, even when they feel nothing. If you're only happy when you reach the goal, you'll only have a few happy moments in life. But if you can find joy in the process, you'll live in happiness every day. Each morning becomes a new chapter. Each effort, proof that you're truly alive. And when you love the process, you realize the destination no longer matters because you've already become what you were seeking. The times, untouchable times, don't chase perfection, they embody presence. They know life isn't something to conquer, but to experience. They no longer ask, "When will I arrive?" They simply say, "I'm here. I'm walking," and that's enough. Love every small step, every imperfect moment, every day you're still trying. Trust that change is happening, even when you can't see it yet. The process isn't a straight line, it's a spiral, drawing you deeper into awareness and closer to your true self. And when you finally learn to love every part of that spiral, no person, no obstacle, no failure will ever be able to touch your peace again. See, every strong person shares one thing in common. They never let "I want to stop" mean "I actually stop." They get tired, they get bored, they have days when nothing feels meaningful, but deep within them lies a mechanism, a mental reflex that simply doesn't quit. It's not blind stubbornness. It's the survival instinct of a soul that knows stepping back out of exhaustion is betraying itself. Quitting rarely begins with a big declaration. It starts as a whisper. "It's okay to skip today. I'll start again tomorrow. No one cares anyway." Those words seem harmless, but every time you believe them, you carve a deeper groove in your mind, a pathway towards surrender. And each time you resist them, even with the smallest action, you strengthen the reflex to survive. This reflex doesn't come from physical power, but from the memory of discipline. Every time you've pushed through fatigue, every time you've kept your word when no one was watching, you've created subconscious proof that says, "I am someone who finishes." These memories layer on top of each other. And one day, when new challenges come, your body and mind automatically respond. "I know this feeling. I've been here before. I'll get through it again." When you feel like quitting, don't force yourself to be strong. Just breathe, pause, and shrink the goal. You don't need to do everything. Just take the smallest step you can. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. If you can't do anything, sit still but don't surrender. As long as the intention to move forward remains, you haven't lost. What breaks people isn't physical exhaustion, it's losing connection to their times why. Asterisk. When everything feels heavy, remind yourself why you started. Not for praise, not for recognition, but because you once saw a better version of yourself and you still want to meet that person. Your true goal isn't out there, it's in who you're becoming along the way. Sometimes not giving up doesn't mean moving fast, it just means not turning back. You can pause to rest, but don't retreat. Many people quit when they're one step away from the breakthrough. They think they've gone too long without results. not realizing the reward always comes times after times the hardest stretch. Like digging for water, you may not see it after the first few strikes, but each swing brings you closer to the spring beneath. One powerful tool for sustaining the no-quit reflex is to change your inner dialogue. When you hear the voice that says, "I can't anymore," don't argue, reply, "I can, just a little longer." Not forever, just a little. That little gets you through an hour, a day, a week, and a chain of littles becomes greater strength than any single burst of motivation. The untouchable times understand that fatigue is temporary. Promises are permanent. They never let temporary emotions destroy long-term commitments. They live by one rule: I don't make big decisions when I'm tired. When the mind is cloudy, they rest, but they don't retreat. When clarity returns, they continue. In this way, no small storm ever sinks their ship. Part of the no-quit reflex is learning to rest wisely. Perseverance doesn't mean self-punishment. Sometimes the smartest thing you can do is stop to recover. The difference lies in intention. You rest to times continue. Asterisk, not to times escape. Asterisk. The quitter rests from avoidance. The disciplined rest for preparation. Imagine yourself as a flame. Some days you burn bright, other days you're only embers. But as long as those embers remain, the fire can return. Don't extinguish it just because it's dim today. One breath, one action, one spark of belief is enough to keep it alive. And when you protect that flame through the darkest nights, you've already won. People think strength comes from motivation, but it comes from emotional discipline. When you master the ability not to be a slave to fleeting emotions, you have true power. The no-quit reflex isn't about never times feeling weak. It's about always returning after weakness. Consistency isn't about never times falling. It's about never times staying down. Remember, in every journey, there will be moments when you want to quit. Days when everything feels meaningless. But those are the gateways to breakthroughs. If you endure just a little longer, you'll walk through the fog of doubt into a sky that's wider than ever before. From that moment on, nothing can touch you because you've overcome the hardest thing of all, yourself. In the end, the no-quit reflex is a sacred promise that you will never betray your own soul. Even if you move slowly, even if you're unseen, even if you're tired, you keep going. Because you understand that continuing isn't about proving anything, it's simply who you are. And when you live from that truth, you no longer need to try to be strong. You are strength itself. Shuwu, imagine standing in the middle of a storm, yet inside you there is absolute stillness. Thunder roars, winds howl, everything around you spins in chaos, and still you remain calm, watching it all pass as if it no longer has the power to touch you. That is the state of being untouchable times. Not because you avoid the storm, but because you've become the eye of it. Inner strength isn't something you find outside yourself. It's forged in the moments you choose not to react. When you choose steadiness over panic, stillness over noise. It doesn't come from grand victories, but from quiet ones, like waking up on time when no one's watching, keeping promises when no one's looking, facing your fears without turning away. You've walked a long road through awareness, change, and discipline, from learning that you control your reactions, to loving the process, overcoming resistance, building systems, and refusing to quit even when things grew uncertain. Every step, every breath, every small right choice has been shaping you into someone unshakable, a version of yourself that nothing can touch. Remember, being untouchable doesn't mean being cold. It means being warm without being weak, open without being unstable, loving without losing yourself. You may still cry, still hurt, still stumble, but you know that no emotion is powerful enough to pull you away from your center. And that's where true power lies, in peace. Life will never stop testing you, but instead of fearing it, thank it. Every storm is a test. Every breakdown is a doorway to a stronger version of you. Don't wish for the world to be easier, become stronger instead. And when you do, you don't just transform yourself, you send a message to everyone around you that there's another way to live, a way to exist with power that doesn't need control, with calm that still radiates strength. You become a living example of composure, faith, and power that rises quietly from within. Because in the end, being times untouchable, times isn't about escaping the world, it's about standing in it without losing yourself. Once you master that, nothing can break you anymore because you've become your own foundation. And from that foundation, you don't just survive, you shine. Asterisk, asterisk, the truth is, nothing outside you can ever defeat you. Asterisk, asterisk. Not people, not failure, not noise, only the power you give them. But the moment you take it back, the moment you decide your peace is your responsibility, you become untouchable. So from today, walk differently. Speak slower. Choose calm. When others choose chaos. That's where true power lives, in stillness, not in control. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for choosing to grow with me today. If this message resonated with you, share it with someone who needs it, because every time you share peace, you make the world a little less reactive and a little stronger. Until next time, stay grounded, stay awake, and remember, you were untouchable all along.